Hey everyone, I was just waiting to see if I was showing up on the video screen. It seems to be the case, so it seems like we are good to go. Welcome everyone. Happy New Year! I hope you had a wonderful time in the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty much a month since we last saw each other, roughly. Even a bit more than that for the last actual community stream. There's been a fight night that we recorded in the middle of December, if I remember correctly. But indeed, it's been quite a while since we last had the opportunity to properly discuss and exchange in an actual community stream. So again, welcome everyone, glad to have you here. As always, I will just check with those that are already watching if you can hear me well. On my side, everything seems to be showing as it should, working as it should, but as always, I'm just checking with you guys. So if you can tell me in the chat, can you hear me well? You should also be hearing the music of the game in the background. I kept it rather low, so if you need it to be a bit louder, just let me know. I kept the sound effects off because once you add all the sound effects, it gets a bit annoying once we go into battle. Okay, I see in the chat we have Outsager. I never managed to do it this way to mention your nickname. I'm very sorry, but you're saying that we can hear me well. If that's the case, that's perfect. I see we have Mr. Undercover Anonymous Gamer here. So yeah, great, thanks. Glad to have you here. We will be starting the actual fight night in just a minute, waiting for a few more people to join us. As you can see today, it's pronounced like outsider in English. Okay, that's good to know. I would have not guessed that, to be honest. So that's good to know. I will call you outsider now. It will be easier for me. And yeah, as I was gonna say, today is gonna be pretty much an exciting fight night for a few reasons. First of all, we have extraordinary rewards. So we bumped all of the rewards to celebrate the new year. That's something I already mentioned last year, that the first stream of the year would include increased rewards to celebrate all together, and also because there was a slightly longer time between the streams due to the holidays celebration, etc. And also it's a bit special because I decided to change the armies a bit more than usual, as some of you probably have seen if you've been trying to fight the armies in the last day. Pretty much you should have seen that it's a bit different than usual. Okay, so without further ado, we will start with the easy and / normal mode. It is usually rather fast, so we'll see how it is going this time. And we also selected 60 accounts for the hardcore advanced fight. You can already see the list in the description. It's been there for at least an hour by now. And I will also add that in case your name is not in there, that doesn't mean you won't participate in the fight night. That just means you will be part of the recorded fight night that takes place on Thursdays. I'm mostly mentioning it because I'm still surprised by the number of people that believe if they're not on the stream, then they won't get into the fight night. It makes me question if they actually realize that they still get gems, right? So they should know that it's still happening. But I don't know, maybe some of you guys have so much gems you don't even realize anymore when you get free ones. I don't know. Yeah, the hardcore army is quite easy this time if you have the good setup for it. The idea here was mostly that if you pay attention, if you try to fight it, it's an easy army to fight. If you don't pay attention, if you just went with your usual army and without paying any attention, it might be a bit harder. Undercover Anonymous, you can find the hardcore army. It's in the description. The account is named CellarDoor with some help, and it's BZN15 for the actual player tag. It's the same account as usual, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. Okay, anyway, let's go for the easy normal fight, and we'll keep going and discussing as we go. Okay, so yeah, of course, the main point is to discuss what is happening in the game lately, what do we want to see in 2024, what you guys are looking forward to, what you expect to see basically in the game, what you can expect already, because it's pretty much already coming your way. There's quite a few things that we're looking at for 2024. I would probably say that the one thing to keep in mind is no matter how hard we try, we'll never be able to deliver as much stuff as we'd like to, but we have a couple of very interesting things coming for this year. Obviously, there's the big ones that we already mentioned, so you know that come on, Unit Express, please. You know that we have a new mod coming into the game quite soon, which will be the Global Red Boss. We are pretty close now from being able to have the first version being tested out by the players. At the moment, the estimation is roughly a month before we can share that with you and have the first run. It's an approximation because for such a big feature, it's always the same, that we can still have some bugs coming in at the last moment that we need to fix that would delay it a bit further. And on the other end, if everything goes exactly as planned, it might come a bit sooner than that, but it's roughly when you can expect it to come. Also, the particularity is that for such a feature, we cannot release it in between seasons, meaning that we have to have it being implemented when there's the content for a new season being added into the game, because we'll need everyone to download a new version of the game, most likely. So we cannot do it mid-season because we would lose a lot of newcomers that won't realize the game is not up to date and will just not play anymore, those kind of things. So because of that, that might move the release date a bit, but we should be able to have clear news for you within the next month. Potentially, maybe we'll do a stream to demonstrate how it works before we actually have it. We'll see if we either kind of take some gameplay footage from the test environment, or if we have a way to showcase it live. Live it might be a bit harder because since it's a clan event, it might not show you too much if I'm only one playing here. Hi Annie Viper, I saw that you just joined on the chat. Can I give a brief description about the mod? A little. What you can expect is pretty much the same mechanism that you know from the Red Boss, except that it will be a global boss that the entire community can attack, which means that there will be rankings that are across all players. There will be rankings that are also across all players, not only for the damages that are dealt, but also for the number of tries. And the idea is that if collectively we are able to defeat the boss, everyone gets rewards. Even people that did not contribute at all to the final win. It's a community thing, it's a global thing. Everyone gets rewards if we manage to kill it. If we don't kill it, you will still get rewards, but it's kind of participation rewards, so it will be lower. And you also have rewards based on the rankings, and those ones go to the people or the clans that have performed the best, obviously. So in the end, there will be clan rewards, individual rewards, and global rewards going out to everyone. For the rest, it's gonna be pretty similar to what you're used to, with one exception being that the bosses will have phases, meaning that the boss, so if we compare it to the red bosses where you can have specific events that are triggered in the boss, right? This time around, it's actual phases. So just like a boss in many games, what will happen is you have your first phase, then you will have a second phase, and at that point, everyone will have to switch their armies to make the best out of this second phase, because maybe the second phase is not the same faction anymore, and it's not the same kind of artifact system, etc., the same bonuses and maluses that are going in there. So that's the way it's gonna go, basically. So yeah, that's roughly what I can tell about the game mode for now. More information, details, early screenshots and stuff will come in the coming weeks. I didn't try it yet myself. We are pretty much right at this phase, right? So it's technically I'm supposed to test it either next week or the week after that, once it's fully ready on the UI side. So the UI is, the user interface. And after that, we will still test it more internally. We might still change a few things, but that will be more gameplay related. And then there will be the actual first version coming to the players. I would say it's very likely that the first version you guys will try will evolve quite a fair bit. So I would expect first version you guys try, the rewards might not be the best yet. The event might not be the full scope of what it can be, and then it might take us, another month or two to fine-tune it and bring it back with the changes that we'll need. Once we have a version that is working fine, then we will probably have this event run way more regularly. I do not know yet the frequency that we'll go for, simply because we need to see how you guys interact with the event, right? If we see that this event is working so well that pretty much you guys stop everything else to focus on that, it means we have to decide when to run it, and so that it does not interfere too much with the rest of the game. If we see that on the other end, it seems like people are giving some care about it, but not as much, maybe we'll run it more often so that it becomes more of a thing to do on top in the game. It's hard to tell yet. And also, that would still anyway potentially move once the other clan mods that we want to have somewhere in 2024, which is the clan wars system, actually come to play. Once the clan wars come, of course that would move a bit how we have the other events running, because depending on the type of clan wars we go for, if it's running every 2 weeks or every month, we'll need to adapt how often the global red boss will run as well. So that's roughly what I can tell at the moment. If you want, I can give you just a few hints about the main direction we're looking at so far for the clan wars. I'm not saying it's gonna be exactly this, but what we are looking at the moment would be a completely different way of interacting with the game than what you've seen so far. What I mean by this is that an easy way of seeing the clan wars that a lot of people want us to go for is just you're matched against a clan, you fight people randomly in the clan, and that's it. It's cool and everything, but we believe it could be a bit better. And right now, the direction we're looking at is a direction where there will be this aspect of fighting other clans, etc., but where there would be also an aspect of building something together as a clan, because that's also part that is missing from our perspective in the game. And so the main direction we are looking at right now would look a bit more like kind of a fortress tower defense kind of thing. You know, imagine you have a clan tower or a clan kingdom to defend, where it's the armies of the players that are actually, well, the armies that players would pick for that mode that makes up the defenses of that kingdom. And your goal when you're matched against another clan will be to take down the opponent's kingdom. So every player will have to be basically setting their best armies, etc. You will still have the fights that you want against other players. You can still decide, you know, like if you're the best player in your team, you will probably attack the strongest players on the opponent's team. And if you're more of a newcomer to the team and you might not be as powerful as the others, then you will go to some targets that are closer to you. That part is still unclear, but the idea roughly with something like this is that there would also be this aspect of, hey, we also have this tower or this clan to this tower or this kingdom or whatever that will actually look like to build together. And that means you could have passive bonuses that you will unlock by your performance in the event, meaning event after event you will earn that currency that allows you to make your defenses maybe a bit better, or the passive defense, if you will, a bit better. You would have ways to show off how many titles you won or how high was your best ranking or those kind of things, so that when your opponents are matched with you, they can see that right away and, you know, either feel threatened or challenged. So that's one of the aspects we're looking at. Long story short, it will still pretty much be a clan war system where you fight against other clans, but we would like to add, if we manage to do it the way we envisage, the way we are thinking about it right now, we would like to add this aspect of shaping something with your clan together, decide of a strategy together, design as well the place to some extent together, which means as well that would allow players that want to invest in some form of cosmetics for clans to also do that, which is something in general that works quite well in this kind of games, because the clan is something you're super proud of, and if players want to gain and obtain a form of cosmetics or decorations or any such system for their clans, it's something that can also drive the event. So that's roughly the direction we look at. And when I explain to you a bit what we're looking at, you see that the scope is a lot bigger than just saying, hey, you're matching this clan, you fight, and after 2 days we look at who got the most points. And this is why it's something that will take a bit of time, but if we're able to deliver that, that would be a massive addition to the game. That would be super cool for players that have been there for a super long time, because they will have something brand new to focus on. And at the same time, on our side, it will allow us to bring the focus of the game on something different. What it means as well is that we know that on the longer run, I don't know when we're nowhere near yet at this point, but there's a point where it won't really work to keep on adding units after units, etc. So having something like this is also a way for us to keep driving the game, keep having new content and interesting things for players to chase and focus on, without having to rely on adding more units when there's a point where there won't be much options for units. We will hit a point where there won't be new or that many new ideas we could go for. There will be new ideas, but that's already something we see with the units we release, is that some of them are performing quite well, some of them not so much, and it's impossible for us to know when we'll reach this point where there's just already way enough units that it doesn't make sense to add much more. So when we reach that point, we better have other elements that players can focus on, because otherwise it gets kind of blocked in a way. So that's for the very, very big features for 2024. The other things that you can expect from us this year, one thing that is quite important and coming quite soon will be the return of the ground show event. I must say the ground show event was a bit of a surprise, because we initially designed that as a way to keep players a bit entertained during the holiday season. We never thought that it would have this impact and would be appreciated this much. So now we are looking at how we can have this run more often and not just once a year. That's why initially, that it was based on the Grinch character and philosophy of ruining Christmas, and that was the idea behind it. But now we see that players really enjoyed that, so we are trying to see how we can implement it and how often. It's not sure yet if we'll do that with every era. For this era, most likely not, because it was not planned and it needs to be planned ahead a bit. But it will come back before next Christmas, that I can guarantee, and we'll see exactly how we do it. But we took some lessons as well from the feedback people shared. For example, the fact that players seem to prefer if we do both the changes to units and power stones at the same time, because right now it was happening one first, then the others. So we'll probably do that at the same time, and we'll see how we will go with that and how it performs. But yeah, that's something you can expect to see returning quite soon. You can also expect, because we already announced that, a new website that will come quite soon. It will include a few different functions. I cannot tell you too much until it's there, but you will know more about that rather soon. We're pretty close at this point from sharing all of that with you. So that will be quite fun. What else? We will be working obviously on the artifacts this year. That will be a big thing for us. What I can already tell you is that there is more artifact balancing coming and some units coming in the next season and the next era. So I know some of you guys wanted some changes to the Earth Wardens. There are a lot of requests as well to still act on some of the artifacts. At the moment it's mostly the reconstruction armor. There's still some questions about the spare, etc. What I can tell you is that it is being looked at, and within the next season and the next era, you will see already some of those long requested balancing changes. I can say as well that we are still working on the Unity update. So the Unity update, it's quite technical. I don't master all of it. Long story short, we've had more and more issues with some specific devices, and also with ads in the past 3 to 4 months, and we couldn't really understand why, because those players were using a good version of the game, they have a device that is performing well, it was not region based, so we couldn't really understand what was going on. And after checking pretty much all the other options, we ended up getting the information, and digging into that, we confirmed that we are facing a Unity bug where some devices are using a specific system that is clashing with the way Unity is performing on their device. And because of that, it ends up messing with the integration of the game. And that means for ads which are externally integrated into the game, you have this issue where some ads are not recognized as being over, even if they should. And so you get into this cycle where you don't get your reward no matter what. You also get this problem that, well, I think it's the last, Valdarian is the last player indeed for the easy mode. So I'm just stopping there. So yeah, you have this issue with the way your device is interacting with Unity. Unity has released a first fix that fixes it to most cases, like 70% of cases, but not all of them. We're at the moment preparing for that update. The problem is an update to Unity and to then be spread out to all of you guys, sadly, is not just saying, yes, we want that new version and getting it. For an update to work, we need to make sure all of the elements we have in the game that are Unity based are working with the new environment, etc. And so it always takes some time. And so that will be an update that we're planning. And the full fix from Unity is planned to come. Wait, I'm just closing the event and making sure. Okay, rewards are given out. I can move to the other account. Okay. So yeah, we're making sure that this update is ready. And then there's, as I was saying, another update coming that the Unity guys work on that should fix the rest of those cases, which is like the 20-25 other percent of cases. And this is going from Unity side within the first quarter, so that could be between now and the end of March, give or take, you know, just as any other company does what they tell us and what they will be able to deliver. But as soon as this will be ready, we will for sure update to that version as well. That should help with the ads issues that some of you are still facing, and also that should help with the performance issues and the crashes that a lot of players are seeing on Samsung devices especially. It's not only Samsung devices, but it's mostly on some Samsung devices that we see it. So yeah, that's not ideal news, because I would love to be able to tell you, hey, the fix is coming on Friday and that's it. So I'd love to be done with this issue once and for all, but at least we are getting really close to it. So that's at least the positive side of things. Okay, so we are gonna start now with the hardcore / advanced battle. And yeah, let's go. That's the kind of battles that always trigger me when both armies are using this artifact, because I have no idea what's going on. Since all the units look alike, I mean, here of course I see my dragon because that's easy to spot, but outside of that, it's super tough to see what's going on. So yeah, so that will be coming this year as well. I saw a question not too long ago about journey levels, because we only released 10 journey levels and then we stopped, and a lot of people were like, yeah, what's the point? So long story short, we prepared a lot more levels than that. We have a lot that are ready. What happened is that we first wanted to release a batch of levels and see how fast were players completing them. to decide what should be the rhythm to release them. And also, we needed to look at how the journey levels are working, because at the moment, the journey mode is one of the modes that is the least used by players. And it's mostly because the way it works is not necessarily ideal at the moment. What I mean by this is you have some players that focus heavily on that and they progress like crazy. They can do like 20 levels in one day and then they hit a wall where no matter what they will try, it's not going to work because they need to level up their units, etc. And the problem of working it out this way with like you do 20 level, then you hit a wall, is that then those players really often do not come back to it. They basically just stop and they come back to it maybe 3 months or 6 months later, and it's not really ideal. So there will probably be some changes coming at one point to the journey levels, especially for new players, where the progression through journey levels should feel a bit more progressive. It's the case at the very beginning, like the very first 20, 30, 40 levels, you really progress one level at a time, or you do 2, 3 levels, then you hit a bit of difficulty, you level your units a bit, you go back to it. But past a certain point, it's like it takes forever to hit a certain wall. Once you hit that wall, you just wait until you're strong enough, and once you pass that, sometimes you have like 20 levels in a row that you can just pass in a breeze. And that's not ideal, because that means when we release new journey levels, it's quite some work to create those levels. But if players are getting done with them in no time, it's not really great. So most likely what will happen with journey levels is that they will get a bit harder, especially the ones will add on top to existing ones. But the rewards might be better as well. So there will be some changes there, and maybe the progression will be slightly altered in a similar way to what you know in most of those games, where you have the progression where it's like, hey, you can do a certain number of journey levels a day, because ultimately we want this to keep you entertained for a long time. But the problem right now is that they do 20, then they do nothing, then they do 20, then they do nothing. So that's something we need to definitely take care of. Animator, you're saying that there's a bug with the skin reward for journey. Okay, 2 unit expresses in a row, that's not usual. I'm not sure which one that would be, but you can let me know and we'll check it. If you never got the reward, what is most likely happening is when there's a new version of the game that is released, this skin, for a reason or another, got basically taken out. This can happen like when we release a new skin and there's a new version coming in. Sometimes the new version, there's just been this classic issue of a development branch that was not properly patched to the main one, and basically this skin ends up not being on the live version anymore. I know that this happened over the Christmas period. We had this bug where people could buy a bundle which included a certain skin, and I think it was for the Fire Knights, and a few days after they contacted us saying, hey, I bought that, but the skin is nowhere to be found, and the skin was there in their inventory, so I didn't really understand why I could see it from the data side, but they couldn't see it from the game. And once I checked with the devs, they could find in just a few minutes, they were like, oh, yep, apparently with the latest version we released, this skin was not included anymore, and they were able to solve this. So, Annie Viper, share with me in private messages, if you can, the details of what skin that is, because I'm quite sure it's gonna be the reason, and if that's the case, we can fix it rather quickly, because we don't need a new version to fix it. We can just push that missing skin back to the live version of the game, if that's really what happened. But of course, I mean, that's just one theory. Maybe it has nothing to do with this, but we can check on that and see what's the situation there. Okay, guys, I'm trying to think. So yeah, I was talking about the journey levels. I was saying, you know, I don't know what we're gonna do exactly yet, but that's something where we will probably take a few steps to make the system and the progression a bit more interesting and a bit more entertaining, something that you come back to, you know, quite regularly, compared to the current system where we really have a lot of players that play the journey level, then leave it aside for 4 months, then go back to it when they're bored, and then leave it out for 4 months. It's just not really the way this mode was designed to be. So that's something we need to work on as well. What else? I'm trying to see. Yeah, I mentioned the artifacts rework. So based on players' feedback, there were requests to do some balancing on artifacts before a full rework of the artifacts. So that's what we've done. We've started to do some more balancing, and later on, at one point, most likely this year, there will be an update focusing a bit on the artifacts, because more and more people are maxed out on artifacts, which means it's not going to be a system that is really helping to differentiate armies anymore. But also the problem is right now artifacts are a big driver of the game, because that's the reason why a lot of people are doing the red bosses and being part of clans, etc. Of course, this part will change a bit once we have the new game mode for clans, but it's still a problem, because at the moment, if you're a newcomer, it will take you years and years to get anywhere near the max artifacts. And at the same time, because we have a lot of players that have been there for years, they have maxed artifacts, and since we want newcomers to be able to not only join, but you know, you're not going to compete with the top of the game in 3 weeks, right? But you shouldn't have to wait 3 years before you can compete with the top players if you want to and if you go for it. Especially, you know, in this case, even someone that would like to buy their way through artifacts, it would still take them years, most likely, to do to be able to get to there. And that's not really the way it should be. I'm not saying that it should be a pay-to-win system, it's not the idea, but we should make it so that the progression through artifacts feels smoother, and so that the people that are already maxed out have another thing to look forward to. So I don't know yet how it will look like. One of the options that was looked into was to change the current 5 levels into something like 20 levels or whatever, so that players would upgrade their artifacts way more often, and make the last levels of artifacts potentially, well, the last level of artifact potentially unlimited, meaning you can still use the currency you win. Of course, at that point, the difference is extremely small, because you know, you cannot increase the effects of artifacts much more than they currently are, because that would unbalance the game completely. So they would probably not change in terms of how far you can go, but the idea would be we make it so that there's a final level that is just ever so slightly better, and you can use all the resources you get for that. You will get extremely small benefits from still going for it, but that means you still have a way to use your resources, and you still have something to chase, even though there's a point where the difference is going to be very tiny, and this would level the battlefield for everyone as well. So that's one option we're looking at. There are other options, to be honest, that are looked into, but we need to find ways to work around that, because Another thing that some players were asking about is to have new artifacts being introduced. But we cannot really introduce new artifacts if the current system is the way it is, because we would either need this new artifact to be very overpowered, because otherwise why would anyone go back to level 0 and level these new artifacts up to level 5 if the outcome is good but not better than the level 5 they already have or the level 4 they already have. So that's something we really need to look into. And we also need to decide, you know, what would those new artifacts be? Maybe new artifacts would be interesting to have as seasonal artifacts, you know, like a fourth artifact that is only active for a specific era, and with the next era you have to level up another artifact that is especially good for this era. Or maybe we could boost the existing artifacts or give them maluses at the beginning of an era. We could say, hey, it's the plague era, so this and that artifacts are boosted, but this and that artifacts are slightly lowered for this era. In the next season it's another set, and that could be a way to spice up the meta a little. There are different ways to look into this. At the moment we have not set our mind yet on the solution to go with, because we are really open to the feedback and what players think about this as well, because it's such a core feature of the game. We don't want to mess up the changes we would do there. For example, we know that some players would actually be down for having artifacts that you level up a lot easier, like you know, it's super easy to level them up, but you restart from scratch with every era. Some players would actually like that. It's something we already discussed with some players. We know as well that a lot of players would be like, hey, no way, I leveled up my artifacts, spent some money, took so long to do that, I don't want that. And it's understandable, you know, both positions are understandable. That's why for this particular situation, we will really discuss with you guys about what's best. Most likely, we will come up with a few different directions we could go for that we think could work, and we'll check with you guys what you think worked best. Or maybe we'll test, you know, the idea of boosting artifacts for a certain time and then de-boosting or nerfing some others for just an era or just a season. It's kind of the same system as ground show, and that's something we could try, see if that is interesting to you guys. And if not, we never do it again, and that's it. There are ways we could try out things with artifacts, and we'll definitely try to do something there. Let me check. Oh, we already have 23 players that passed. We have like not even 40 players to go. It's gonna be a short stream today. Okay, I think those are the main things I can mention that are coming this year. I mean, technically, if we are able to deliver all of that this year, that will be a crazy year. Just to sum it up for those of you that were not there at the beginning, but if in 2024 we have the new website, we have the global red bars, clan wars, new enhanced journey level, new system for the artifacts, all of that while we still bring new cosmetics, new skins, new content for every new era, and we still balance the units and the artifacts as we go, plus the ground show events returning, etc. If all of that comes to the game in 2024, I will be super happy, because that means we delivered a lot. That's the plan at the moment. It's very ambitious, but if we manage to deliver all of that, the game will be quite different at the end of the year from what it was at the beginning of the year. It would be a lot better as well for newcomers. There would be a lot more ways to progress your way through without feeling blocked as often as the current system does. There would be more fun for the players that have been there for a long time because they would have other elements to focus on. So yeah, that could really be a big deal. Let's see if we are able to release all of that. But if that's the case, that would be an amazing year. Okay, guys, on my side, I think I brought up most of the stuffs I wanted. So you know what that means. That means now I'm basically going to be taking questions that you guys have. Anything you want to discuss, I'm basically waiting for you. And if you have nothing, I will remain silent until the end of this stream. No, of course I'm kidding. I don't know how to be silent for that long. It's probably the disease that I have. That's not linked to streams. I actually have always been someone that talks a lot and probably too much. So I wouldn't know how to stay silent for an entire half an hour or however how long it will take us. See, Annie Viper, you were saying that this army was super easy, but the winning rate is actually quite okay. I quite like this idea of an army being super easy to defeat for anyone that had the time to just even look into it, because that is kind of rewarding those that take those streams a bit seriously and prepare themselves and potentially join us. Watch the stream, watch the replay if they cannot watch the stream. And that's always better for me than just granting rewards without any effort. If that's the case, you know, I'd rather just have a contest running and not spend time at all on the stream, because, you know, ultimately I like doing the streams. It's not that much preparations at this point. I know what I have to do, etc. But it's still quite some hours of my day of work that are taken out. So I need to, you know, justify it to my bosses. They kind of want to know, why am I doing this? So, you know, at least when there's an army where it's a bit of challenge and people that prepared for it are have an advantage, have an edge. That's the word I was looking for. They have an edge over the others. I think that's fair. You know, that's the way I see it, at least. Also, I do like the fact that a lot of you are sporting the new banners, etc. in the game. I didn't change mine for this stream, but that's quite cool. That's something I wanted to bring up, actually, that we will try to bring new cosmetics to the game as well. Not only the skins that, you know, you're already getting that, and that's fine, but we will try to bring as well, you know, yeah, new titles, new banners. We might be looking at adding more achievements somewhere this year as well, or at least extending the existing ones, because that's something people are chasing as well. It's usually not that tricky to do that, so yeah, if we find the time for that, we'll do it. Obviously, if we have the option between bringing a new game mode or adding achievements, we'll go for the new game mode. But, you know, there will probably be times where we have a bit less to release for that moment of the year. New achievements could be a way to still bring something new, even though it's nothing that crazy and that big. Okay guys, you're extremely silent today compared to usual. There's no one talking in this channel. That's a bit depressing. Where are you guys? I need you. Otherwise, it's just me talking. And, you know, I like to listen to myself, but not to that extent. And it's another victory. So see, the winning rate is okay. The other day I was thinking about an idea. I have no idea if that could be of any interest for you guys, but it's just me thinking out loud since I have some time to do that, since there's not much talks. Outsider, yeah, the winning ratio shows how many people don't care about preparing the fight. Precisely. You know, that's what I've been pretty much explaining since the first day I started to work on those community streams. It's that there's a very small group of dedicated players that are showing up and taking the time and preparing, and it's perfectly fine to have you guys here and discuss and do all of that. The truth is also that there are a lot of players that just, you know, they just wait to see if there's an announcement for a new stream, and they just add their name in there, and that's it. A good example for that is that I have some players that are posting that, like, they registered themselves with several accounts, which is okay, but they also register those accounts as alternate accounts for the contest for alternate accounts, and that's like, every single time you do that, I'm taking you out of the alternate account contest. And I've been saying that since the first time I did that, and I keep on telling players, but they never took it seriously. They don't stop doing this, which means they don't really watch the stream either. They just watch their fight probably, and that's it. But to me, that's a bit of a shame, because it's not really fun for me. I don't see the fun of, you know, just collecting gems for the sake of collecting gems, but not really being interested in even watching the stream. I get not watching the stream live because a lot of people are working, a lot of people are, you know, commuting. For some people, it's, you know, super early in the morning or super late at night. That I fully get. But there are quite a lot of people that don't even watch the replay. So it's like, you register for a contest, but you don't even care whether you're winning or losing. But yeah, that's yeah, I should let them on in the contest, and they would quickly learn how to sign in. That's true. That's true. I could try that. Hi, Ryan. So you're asking, I guess you want to know when the recorded fight nights will happen. It's usually at 5 p.m. It's usually, sorry, at 4 p.m. CET on Thursdays. The 5 p.m. CET was for today. Let me recheck the description, but oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm reading it right now. I don't know why it's the recorded fight night that is mentioned to be on today. That's not the case, because I cannot run the recorded fight night as I'm doing the stream, because basically I need that device to record it. I will edit the description right now because that's not correct, and it will take place on Thursday at 4 p.m. actually. I will correct that right away. Thank you for noticing. I probably just did that too fast and wrote down the time for the actual fight night and not for the recorded fight night to take place. So that is corrected. Okay, let me check if it's corrected now. Yes, it's showing up properly. So tomorrow, 18th of January, 4 p.m. That's when there will be the recorded fight night. I will also edit that on Discord for you guys that would be checking only on there. That's definitely a mistake on my side. Oh, actually, I wrote it. Okay, it was correctly posted on Discord, and it was not correct on YouTube. So I guess that's because I based the description on the existing description for YouTube. When on Discord I typed it based on an older Discord message. So that would be the reason for the discrepancy. But this way you have your answer. Aaron, yeah, I mean, you can leave your army up all night if you want. Worst case scenario, if you want to change it, you have the timing already. It's gonna be 4 p.m. tomorrow, that's for sure. And it will be not that many players. I think we'll have still 70 or 80 players to go because I've decided to get more players in the stream today. We have 40, so yeah, if you want to put it back up tomorrow, you can. That's perfectly fine. So your call to decide how you want to go. So yeah, before that, I was mentioning that there were a couple of things I just wanted to pitch out to you just to know what you guys think and if you would be interested. One thing that I wanted to know is if you guys would be interested in a form of a challenge between players where you would be having part of the army that is forced to you. So imagine a challenge system where you and your opponents will have units of the same level. Maybe there's no artifacts even, or if there are artifacts, you have the same artifacts at your disposal, same level. So that would probably be like units level 100 and artifacts level 3, let's say. Level 3 for all artifacts. And the attunements are just in the middle of all the possibilities. But half of the army points are already taken by units that are there and that you have to use. You cannot take them out. You can move them around to organize your battlefield the way you want, but you cannot take them out, and you would run a challenge against other players, and you know that could be like a temporary, like a 1 day thing or 2 days thing, where you know, similar to you know, the bounty hunter or those kind of things. I just thought that maybe that would be of interest for some players to see what would you do with those half army points, knowing that half of them potentially are units that you would never combine, or units that you might are not used to, and you know, see who can come up with the best strategies and who would be able to make the best out of this in a ranking system. You know, get points for a win, you're losing a few points for a loss, and you know, we see who gets the highest in the ranking. I was just thinking that something like this could be interesting, or in a similar manner, I was thinking, would that be interesting to you to have the same similar system of challenge, but where you would have a battlefield that has physical elements in here, like, you know, actual physics, that are changing the battlefield. So let's say there's one zone that is slightly flooded and in which you have to avoid that your armies would go to or would come back from. I don't know, I'm just thinking of this idea of kind of, you know, yeah, Outsider, a bit like the journey levels, but the way I think of these, obviously, is that for me the journey levels, ultimately it's a bit boring. And if I can have the same kind of mechanism, but where you're fighting a player that has the same handicap as you of having to play with those units as well, instantly that interests me more. That's probably because I've been working with this kind of games for too long and that I know that any PvE event is not as exciting and interesting as any PvP equivalent. So maybe that's kind of a professional problematic there. Maybe you're right, maybe that would be a good thing to try on with journey levels. But yeah, I'm just curious, you know, if you want to discuss that on Discord in the coming days or whatever, we can think about it. Just to be clear, that's really from me, meaning that we never discussed anything like that with the game team. Maybe technically that would not even be possible, but that's an idea I had over the Christmas break, and I was like, yeah, I need to bring that up to the players, just know if that would be something they would be interested in any way at all. So yeah, we'll see about that. So we are slowly already getting to the end. We have less than 10 players to go. So yeah, folks, if you have any question, any topics that you still want us to bring up before the end of the stream, with the current time and with the army that I have, which is dying obviously super fast because of the artifacts used, you have less than 5 minutes to talk about it. So go for it if you have anything. Otherwise, it will quickly be over and we'll basically go on with our days. Did you mention I can get into today's stream? No, I did not, because once the list is over, I'm not changing it anymore. Except if there's really like someone that comes to the stream and tells me, hey, I'm very sorry, I forgot to register myself or something like this. But other than that, I don't do it because one thing that players mentioned to me is that if you do that, since players have seen the list in advance, they will not show up, and they will most likely have not changed their army because they thought the fight would be the next day. So yeah, no, the only thing I mentioned was that you could change your army only tomorrow if you want, and you don't have to leave it overnight, Ryan. And you like the idea of a campaign style PvP? Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud of stuff that could be interesting. It's kind of a professional thing as well, that whenever I get to work on a new game, I'm trying to see what have I seen in other games that has not been tested on this game in particular. So for example, effects to the battlefield, you have that to some extent with some artifacts, with the meteors, etc. But it's not like a direct physical effect on the battlefield. So that's one thing I was thinking about. Or being forced to set up your army with part of it being already decided for you. That's just something that I don't think I've seen in this game, hence why I'm thinking of it. Doesn't mean that would necessarily work, but yeah, we'll see about that. Okay, we have just a few players left, 5 I think. So this is your last chance. I think this will be the shortest stream in ever, And that's a quick victory for me. Yes. Let's finish on a few wins to get that winning ratio to go a bit higher if we can. That would be great. Yes, that's the way to go. I have three more battles, I think, three fights to get my winning rate a bit higher, or at least to keep it over 50%, but that's not gonna happen with this one, sadly. So let's see. Hi Kim, so you're asking, to be able to have a friends list would be nice. That is true. Maybe that's one thing that will come once we look at the clan wars. But to be honest, this is the kind of features that we would consider it being a quality of life improvement. And I will be completely honest here, the one problem we often have with quality of life improvement is that it's usually requesting quite some development, but it usually has almost no impact whatsoever on any of the metrics of the game, right? So it's not gonna get players to stay longer within the game, or to play more, or to spend some money, or to use their resources. It has no real impact on any of those elements. And the problem is that it means whenever we have our team that will be confronted to the choice of, hey, do we do that development that will take us some development time and is kind of a nice to have feature, or do we go with that thing that can actually change the game? It's usually the reason why we go one road. Hey, see? Outsider, I did win one of the final fights. I'm just checking, but I think that was the last one, right? Yes, that was the last one. Okay, guys. So yeah, you're saying that you don't want to search after folks. That I fully understand. Oh, Outsider, you're saying the last fight was already not from the list. Okay, I thought it was, because when I looked at it was still the exploit, so I guess the other one was way too fast. The white hat was way too fast for me to see. But that's okay. Yeah, just to close up on the topic of nice to have features, it doesn't mean we'll never do it. And that's why I'm saying maybe with the clan wars, when we are looking back at clans, we might want to implement something like this, because at that point we want to make the social aspects of the game a bit more prominent. So it might be part of a package, and it might be like, hey, yeah, this feature by itself is not gonna impact the game, but we can include it in there because we're developing things that are quite close. For example, a system to invite people to your clans externally, etc., is potentially something you want to have when you have clan wars, etc. And once you have that, it's only one extra step to add an invite system to tag friends or something like this. So maybe at that point that will be considered, but I just wanted to give the explanation as to why you don't see us do too many quality of life improvements. Usually it's because we have to pick our fights, and usually we'll always go for what can impact the game the most. But I agree that it would be nice to have that indeed. Okay, guys, that's basically it for today. We're done. It was a nice fight night. I hope you will make good use of all the crazy extra gems we sent your way today. It's been flooding, it's been raining gems, so I hope that you will make the best out of it and you will enjoy. that will be it for today. We'll see each other in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, thank you again for joining the stream, and talk to you soon. Bye.